You need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? Oh. What? Like a handgun. For personal protection. What if somebody tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. A gun? Yeah, a gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. 10-footed cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta drag them through the streets.
It is Tuesday. We are live. This is PrimerTime on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and we are at war.
My name is Nicholas, and it's welcome to the post-shoot-down edition of PrimerTime.
Oh, man, another post-shoot-down, another post-Paris, and post-Mali. There was something that happened in France today, the shoot-down of the Russian plane, the bombing of the Russian plane. This is, we're in a new place again.
Well, you know, it's interesting because certain stories that I've seen out there say that not only the Russian fighter was shot down, but also the rescue helicopter that was sent after the pilot was.
I heard the helicopter was shot down as well. I saw sparse videos this morning. I saw something flaming through the sky. I saw the guy in the parachute getting shot down, which is kind of disheartening.
You know.
Yeah, I guess it's part of war and all that, but it doesn't seem very.
Yeah, it's not very sporting. I mean, you know, we don't tend to shoot people down once they've ejected. They are kind of defenseless.
So like this whole situation kind of blows back into this war on terror and the declaration against firearms in the European Union, which is actually coming to a vote. We've got Senator Harry Reid, who is making a plea to please stop the Paris-style assault rifles. And only thing I can come up with for Paris-style assault rifles is Pepe Le Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, I mean,
but, it's just
Harry Reid is an interesting dude. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I mean, it's just more demonization, more bullshit from the media. And I'll tell you what, I think it's the demonization from the media drumming up the issues of the immigrants, the crap in France, today with the Russian thing, that was fairly interesting. I went to a couple of gun shops today and to the big box store, and one of the higher end gun shops that I went to, and I'll tell you honestly, it was Don's Firearms. It was in Victoria, Texas. Nice guy. He's a little bit pricey for me. A lot of bit pricey for me. But he doesn't carry any crap. He carries guns with prestige, guns that have things that would be, let's say, like a Ruger LC9. He'll have the LC9S Pro. with some special edition, and it'll be right about $479, and you can buy that probably a very similar Ruger LC9S at the big box store for like $359, like maybe $110, $120 cheaper. He's got very nice stuff, and he was packed, and I mean really packed. Like there were people buying 3 and 4 handguns, looking at AR-15s and AR-10s and AK-47s. There was, I think, kind of people who may not have been paying attention before are purchasing firearms.
Yeah, actually, like I said before, I've got a limited supply of stock on hand, and speaking to my wife after the latest round of shoot 'em up over in Europe, she asked the question. She's like, how are we doing on our stock of ammo? And I was like, well, we always need more.
That is the correct answer.
Yep.
That is the absolute correct answer. But it's not just the ammunition, right? It's to me, well, honestly, we've got a story tonight from our nation's capital. The D.C. police chief says that if you can stop the attacker, and she gives run, hide, and fight. And honestly, she says hide doesn't work. You end up dead. And so fight. Well, you got to have something to fight with in that situation. And
this is very interesting because the individual we're talking about is D.C. Chief of Police Kathy Lanier. It's interesting that she says that your options are to run, hide, or fight, but yet here she is not approving concealed carry licenses for the citizens in her district.
And that makes you wonder if in times of crisis like this, if people are going to kind of like gray light the law, kind of maybe almost a form of civil disobedience in the interest of self-protection. How many will just go ahead and flaunt the law? Will obtain and carry a small firearm in the interest of personal self-defense versus the potential risk of, the legal portion, whatever time in jail and confiscation and future prohibiting of ever doing anything in your life again. It's probably a felony in D.C. to carry a pistol concealed.
Well, not only that, if you happen to have an AR series rifle, you're not going to have it in D.C. because having a magazine with the standard 30-round capacity is illegal in the district, unless you're David Gregory from MSNBC.
Right. And once again, we see the media is playing into this. This kind of got a little bit of play, and it should actually get more play, and it should bring up a national discussion, especially when we're being fed, fear porn 24/7. I mean, honest to God, CNN tells you that they have to interrupt somebody because they have breaking news, and then they give an update as to what's going on tonight. Anderson Cooper's interview for later. This section is brought to you by Pepsi AC, and then they get to the breaking news, which is something that we knew 6 hours ago.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the media is crap feeding into this, but people are also buying it. It's not all bullshit, and you should be aware. And yeah, if you have to profile, I'd say that's your prerogative. You go right ahead and do it. But my question is how many people will obtain a small firearm? Because there were people today, like at Don's, I was up there, and they were not looking at 44, model 629, 44 Magnums or, 1911s with extended slide and scope and, like race gun looking thing. They were looking at Kimber micro pistols. They were looking at Ruger LC9s. They were looking at SIG 230s. Everybody was looking at something small.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's kind of,
it's kind of the way things are going. The Glock 43 is out there, and people seem to be snapping that up with reckless abandon. So I definitely think that the smaller class of pistols is definitely in right now, but I don't know how much of that is market-driven hysteria versus actual word of mouth. Hey, this is a great thing. I really like mine.
Well, I'll tell you on the concealable pistol uh, route, what people, I think when they're brand new, they really get enthralled by things that like built-in lasers and built-in flashlights, and I think that sells a pistol more than the actual function of the firearm, which is almost okay because the chances are they're never going to have to use it because much like the military, that pistol will stay stored away for 99.9% of its life. Would you agree?
Well, I think that, those who are serious about getting the time on the range will definitely use theirs. Somebody who, and I kind of like to equate this to an impulse buy, somebody who just goes out and spends a ton of money on something, kind of sight unseen. Yeah, that's going to tend to stay in a closet.
Well, okay, I'll tell you. There was the Kimber 380, which is kind of a small 1911 style concealable pistol. It's kind of got a little bit different grip angle. It's got more of like an overhang over the back of your over the webbing of your hand. But this one happened to be available in turquoise, silver with pearl white grips, and it had a laser on it. And there was a guy there, and I could tell just by profiling this man that he had a considerable amount more cash than I do, and he was looking at that, and he was buying that for his wife, and I'm sure she was looking at it more from the aesthetic angle, just due to her comments. And
Does it come in pews?
no, she was. Well, I mean, she was really interested in how it was functioning, but I mean, I think really what got her interested in that pistol versus something else was that it was pretty colored, and I've there were several people in there buying firearms. It it was the same way at the big box and at two pawn shops and at another smaller gun shop. Um, People were buying, and there did seem to be an adequate supply of ammunition. I did notice there was no 357 Magnum and no bulk boxes of 9mm.
Yeah, 9mm going pretty quick.
9mm is nice and kind of value priced and priced for priced well for defense ammunition. I mean, defense ammunition is spendy, but you only need less defense ammunition if you go out there and you actually train in the 115 grain full metal jacket from one of the various manufacturers was all coming in between $9.99 and on sale and at $14.99. And we're coming up to Black Friday, so those prices are probably going to start to drop over the holidays as they try to get people the last dollars out of people.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of Black Friday, I got a quick question for you.
sure.
Have you seen the latest Walmart batch of commercials?
No, honestly, I've not because I don't watch TV. I don't have a TV.
Well, it's interesting. It's because there's an actor who's actually he's one of the cast members of the movie Hot Tub Time Machine. He's the black guy. He plays piano in this Walmart commercial for some of the customers there, and it's funny because right towards the end they put Black Friday right above his head while he's in full view of the camera. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
That is a microaggression.
That is it's the symbolism of hate.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's probably going to be some more symbolism of hate because right prior to us going on air, Chicago. Well, in Chicago, they released the videotape of that kid getting shot who was jaywalking, and it's not.
Yes.
They shot him like 9 times in the back and then like 7 times while he was on the ground and stuff. So
Well, you got to make sure he doesn't get up.
yeah, really, leave no twitchers and all that.
Yeah.
But I think Chicago's going to be one of those areas that's prone to explode here in the next 36 hours. So if you're in that area, I'd suggest kind of keeping your stuff nearby. I think that's going to be maybe bigger than Ferguson.
I was going to say that is according to Zombieland. That's rule number 2, the double tap.
Right. Yeah, and he double tapped him 8 times, I believe, is what that is.
No, that's using that's using Common Core math.
Right. So yeah, so that looks like that's kind of about to explode, and I don't know. It's just really interesting. I think that right now, personal defense is it's your own responsibility. I mean, that DC police chief, what's her name?
Uh, let me go back to that one.
Whatever her name is,
Lanier,
she yeah,
Kathy
Chief Lanier.
Lanier.
I mean, she says in that article that the police are not going to be there to help you. So
Which
you know,
in DC,
they
that's
get
never the case, anyways.
right, but at least she was somewhat honest. You know, the police get there after everything's done.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, folks got to know that the police are there to set up the yellow tape that says crime scene. They don't
right,
they don't ever put up
and
white tape that says
we've also
preventive crime scene.
we've also got a nation that believes that if you take a pill, you'll get better. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, I don't know. Now, something we should cover because actually I was thinking about it over the week when we discussed the break-in at the Army Reserve Armory.
Yep.
There, you gave a fairly detailed explanation of what that was. Now we've got some follow-up and actually some intense follow-up kind of on this. It shows that the perpetrator of the crime was arrested, and
Right. So
he
yeah, I believe going back, if we'll say something about it, I believe it was my opinion that this was probably a member of the reserves or somebody who was being shown
right,
the door.
Dad called it an inside job.
Right. So, story out of the Stars and Stripes, which is a newspaper, both electronic and printed, that caters to the active duty and former military crowd, ran a story that came from the Associated Press that states a former Army reservist out on bail for child rape broke into the armory and stole 16 guns. 10 of which were recovered, and some of them happened to be recovered by a homeless guy. And he found some of those in a trash bag. So
Right, and a good distance away. So you've got this child molester, ex-Army reservist, who still somehow has the codes to the automatic locks or whatever, who gets in and steals these weapons, and then travels however far and goes and drops only a few of them in a trash can in New York,
yeah,
so that a homeless guy finds them. This yeah, like if you could the homeless story really is kind of like the killer because it says it only recovers just a few of the firearms.
yeah. So what was originally taken was 6 M4s and 10 M11s, which are the 6-hour 9mm. And
Oh,
yeah, so the funny thing is that the electronic monitoring bracelet that he was wearing, so his court mandated get out of jail bracelet, placed him directly inside the facility, and blood left at the scene has matched to his DNA. So he cut off the bracelet Monday, but was tracked to New York through his cell phones. So what does that tell you? Tells you that
rule
the
number one in crime: leave your cell phone at home.
Well, I was going to say the NSA surveillance is alive and well.
That's right. That's right. Do not post your crimes on Facebook.
Yeah. So this is interesting. He had been seen at the Worcester, Mass facility trying to obtain copies of his discharge papers. So it's interesting that I kind of called that one. I was going to say that the blind squirrel gets a nut every now and again, right?
Right. And but I mean, this is fairly odd. How far would you say? I mean, you live on that side of town, kind of. How far would you say that Worcester, Mass, to where the guns were found, which is where were the guns found? Those were found in New York City. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the story that I see. Um, I'm like I said, I consider anything above Virginia the the land of the lost. I really don't see any reason to go north of Virginia. Um,
Super Yankees ahead.
yeah,
Exit now.
yeah, yeah. I do live in the hotbed of the Confederacy, and people still here call it the War of Northern Aggression. So you know, I really don't see any point in going up there. I can tell you from Western Massachusetts to New York City is about a 2.5, 3 hour drive. So
Right. Right. And it kind of brings to light like there is a great big difference between the North and the South and the East and the West. And I mean, and it varies so much as North Carolina to South Carolina.
oh,
In
certainly.
North Carolina, there was a gum buyback, and highly touted, and the everybody is safe. This gun buyback brought in one BB gun and one hunting knife.
And
So the
and
children,
the people of Greensboro can certainly feel safer at night because almost 1,000 people took a pledge of nonviolence at the Destiny Christian Center in Greensboro. And to further show their commitment to the safety of the city, they did turn in one BB gun and one hunting style knife.
and had that been held in, I would say in South Carolina, there would have not been such a generous turnout.
I seem to think that the people of South Carolina, having been the first to secede, I don't think they would have given up anything. I think they might have, dropped a couple of pictures in the amnesty box that had some choice words or some inappropriate drawings on them.
Right. So I mean,
And the
but
funny thing is that when you take a look at the photo, and this comes out of Time Warner News, you take a look at the photo of the pistol that is turned in, the BB pistol. It's turned in with a box of Daisy Quicksilver BBs, and the police department went so far as to put a confiscated item and property tag on it. I think that's hilarious.
I think of the built-in waste that picture right there just embodies about law enforcement today. I mean, they're going to pay some sort of evidence technician their going rate to do the 3 hours it takes to test that weapon, and what are you going to find off a BB gun? We've now solved the serial cat popper.
Yeah. Well, speaking of serial cat popper, I tell you what, there's one in my neighborhood that might be getting the BB rifle treatment. Saw one the other
Don't say
night.
that.
You saw one the
Say
other night.
that out loud. You're gonna get in trouble.
That's right, man. I'll tell you what. It's either that or the 300 blackout comes out and says hi. And I found a cat.
You're gonna have to get a can for that.
Yeah. Well, this cat decided to shit on the wrong guy's grass. So, and it happened to be I was walking out the door. I had staff duty the other night, so I have to go into my unit, which is over an hour away, and go do checks every 8 hours. And of course, I'm getting ready to do my midnight checks, and I walk out the front door, and lo and behold, there's a cat shitting on my grass. Oh, the anger and rage swelled up within inside me.
I believe that cat was probably ISIS.
I think it was trying to create terror in my heartland.
I believe you had best respond vigorously.
I believe it was a biological attack. So, but yeah, the funny thing is that here we are a couple days out in front of Thanksgiving, and of course I still don't have a turkey because somehow I have been able to figure out the time and space continuum of how quickly you can thaw out a 16 to 20 pound bird in your kitchen sink by continuously running lukewarm water over it.
I am going to somebody else's house for Thanksgiving, so I am good. I'm good there.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
real quick, I got to give a shout out real quick. Captain Gringo and Junior, his son, went out and they both bagged themselves some deer. I believe Captain Gringo took his with a bow. So congratulations. and good job on that first time with the bow, first year with a bow. Good job.
Yeah, congrats, Captain. Like said, I was able to get my first bow kill this year, and it is a rush, and it's also, it's a very different way to go than using a rifle, reaching out and touching something. But yeah, congrats to Junior, congrats to Captain Gringo, and that's meat in the freezer, because you know what, the weatherman says that the winter storms are starting to come through, starting in the Midwest with a lot of snow, and then by the time you look at it, here comes December next week, and you know what, you may need to go make a trip to the freezer to pull something out and not be able to go to the store. So good on you guys for taking those deer down, and from what I saw, it was pretty good sized bucks, 2 of them.
Yeah, you got pictures. That was cool. So, all right. So we're gonna shift kind of to the West Coast. We spoke about this before in Los Angeles County. They've banned the high capacity magazine, and I mean, there's a statewide ban on high capacity magazines. So-called standard or so-called high capacity actual standard magazines. There's a magazine limitation in actuality, and it's the 10 rounds. Well, the county of Los Angeles has gone a step further and has said that you can not have them, and it's time for a mandatory turn-in. Well, it's been 60 days since this has happened, and Los Angeles County has received exactly 0 magazines turned in. So I believe that everybody had got rid of theirs, and Los Angeles is a completely safe city now.
Yeah, I would have to say so. Obviously the absence of those magazines would lead a reasonable person to believe that they just don't exist.
Right. So we see that now that this same legislation, which ignores the state or goes further than the state law, disregards the magazine's grandfathered status, which the previous law said that the magazine couldn't even be in the firearm. So I mean, I guess you'd be screwed if you had to use it at some point.
Yeah.
But this same legislation was passed in San Francisco and in Sunnyvale. And
Sunnyvale is a city I know very well. I actually used to live in Sunnyvale.
And Sunnyvale had zero compliance.
Well,
And
Sunnyvale actually has 0 compliance because they've got almost 0 white people there. The funny thing is, Sunnyvale is the home of tech industry, and Yahoo is actually headquartered in Sunnyvale. And Sunnyvale has one of the largest per capita Indian populations in the United States because of the H-1B visa holders that Yahoo imports to work the tech side of the house. So yeah, not very many people out there actually have firearms to begin with, and those that do don't advertise it.
Right. Well, and we've also covered, the last gun shop in San Francisco closed. What was that, 2-3 weeks ago? And San Francisco has 0 compliance. So it's obvious just by these numbers alone that Los Angeles, Sunnyvale, California, and San Francisco are absolutely safe.
Yeah.
So we endorse you moving there and spending all your money and going there.
Yeah, and the only reason why anybody ever dies in San Francisco is because of when a federal agent misplaces or inadvertently loses positive control of said firearms, and then a person who's been deported 5 or 6 times, has a couple of felonies on the books, happens to locate the firearm and check it for function, and
because you found it in a trash can.
Yeah, you got to see if it works.
I don't know. All right. So this brings us to kind of to another similar situation. Mayor of Dallas, and I don't know, Dallas is an interesting place. Mayor of Dallas is saying that he's more afraid of a large group of white men with guns than he is of the refugee situation. And this actually really kind of offends me because implying this fear that, number one, that I honestly I don't think that bringing the refugees here is a good idea, but I'm not necessarily afraid of it. I don't think it's good. I don't endorse it, but I'm not afraid of it. I think if it happens, things are going to change, and they'll probably change for the worse. But I'm not afraid of them coming in.
So
Um,
here's my thing. Okay, Dallas is a major metropolitan city, as is Fort Worth, as is Houston, as is Los Angeles, as is Seattle, as is any one of those other big name cities. You take a look at the people who are running those cities, and it's the same person. Whether it's the lesbo in Houston, who has recently had a court ruling against her in terms of the ability of her office to send sheriff's deputies in or police deputies into the clergy to take sermons
yeah,
away from.
that was really kind of disgusting.
Right. So here's the
Her
thing.
whole, Anise Parker's mayorship has really been kind of a stain on the city of Houston.
Yeah. Well, Mike Rawlings is the mayor of Dallas, and something he said just kind of it comes right out and just says, "Hey, this is a mistruth from the beginning." His quote is, "I am more fearful of large gatherings of white men that come into schools, theaters, and shoot people up." So by listening to the words that he chose to use, apparently this country has a problem with gatherings of white men coming into schools and theaters and shooting people up. Now, like I said, I only went to public school, and I've only got a college education in some regards. But I don't seem to recall any large gatherings of white men coming into schools.
You don't remember that horde of whitey that you used to come?
I don't remember. I must have been absent or conspicuously drunk and unable to comprehend the news stories. But I just don't remember those stories about large gatherings of white men that come into schools and theaters and shoot people up. I do remember stories of single men coming into schools and theaters and shooting people up, but I don't seem to remember the gathering part of it. I mean, unless he's talking about these white men play Magic the Gathering and then go shoot people up, but I don't remember there being a large gathering.
I find it interesting that he has to, he brings the firearms in, then he brings in more race baiting, which honestly, the race baiting this year has just been phenomenal.
It's been a bad year to be a white guy.
Well, you've oppressed everybody.
Yep.
Your people had slaves.
Yeah. My people had slaves, and they were Muslims. Tell you that much.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Long time ago. But you know what? That is a story that actually has quite a bit of truth in it, because when you think about the latest batch of the Islamic terrorism going on in France and Belgium and other assorted places like Mali and wherever else, there
was one not very similar to this, before that. And that's an interesting story, because that shopping mall in Nairobi that got shot up was diminished some by a man with a firearm, by a civilian with a firearm. A guy with a gun went in there and shot it up. And then we see like in Oregon at the Clackamas Mall, when that was the shooting there, Nick Melly, who had a pistol, and congratulations, I can't give that guy enough props, because number one, he did not have an Oregon concealed carry permit. He just thought he should carry one. And you know what? Good for him, because honestly, if you're not a jackass with it and you don't do anything stupid, you're not going to get caught.
Well, unless you happen to be in an area that does stop and frisk.
Right. Well, we don't. This show does not broadcast like in New York City.
Yeah. Hey, I think we're banned in New York City. We might reach out to Western New York thanks to Jules, but I don't think we make it into the 5 boroughs.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, this is verboten.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, just getting back to the Dallas mayor, what a puss if this guy is afraid of gatherings of white men. Apparently, he doesn't like football, and in Texas, that's you're just not a man.
Well, and this whole thing is it just kind of plays into this media pushing with that. I think they really want some sort of racial violence to happen. I really think they do. You know, never mind the fact that he's denying all these white guys with guns who go around shooting people their safe space,
Yeah.
um, and microaggressing on them. But I mean, all right, I'll just come right out and say it. If you help a refugee out before you help out a hurting American or a hurting veteran, you deserve to get Allahu Akbar. I hope you get double tap, motherfucker, because this place is falling apart because of you, because of that thought process right there.
Well, it's funny. I've seen a couple news stories in the last few days of some backlash being seen at mosques across the United States, where a mosque is burned, a mosque is vandalized, and some people coming from the community. I saw one story about a 10-year-old boy saving his savings from doing chores and doing things like that, and then presenting it to the imam of the mosque. A couple things come to mind. Number one, a fool and his money are soon parted. And number two, that 10-year-old and his mom should be hooked up by the FBI
Right.
for supporting a terror organization. I mean,
that money, send it
we've
to
got it.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in care of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Yeah. So here's the deal. We had that spate of church bombings in the mid '90s. Brought us such jokes as, what did you think about when they started bombing the churches? And the lady from New Orleans says, I don't give a shit because I get my chicken at Popeyes. You might have heard that one before.
Was right.
Yeah.
And the thing is a lot of these things, they're of dubious origin, these attacks, right? Just like, as we saw at the campus protest where, the poo swastika was drawn.
Yeah.
And the backwards, the so-called Buddhist poo swastika, because it was, it faced left rather than facing right.
Yeah.
Who does this? These are events designed to garner attention, to sway public view, public will and emotion. And
that's the thing. This whole summer with these highly charged emotions, and then everything going from the fake professors at the University of Missouri trying to relive the 1960s, and good Lord, she was hideous. It was like Carrot Top's mom.
That was really what really got me about that was the girl who said that Yale was not a place for education. It was supposed to be her home.
Either that or at Dartmouth, where apparently you can't be anything other than black and go into a library and expect to have a safe space to where you can do your work, because the Black Lives Matter movement went in there and was just really roughing up students who were trying to use the library for its intended purpose.
Okay, well that brings me to something that happened last night in the Chicago area. All right, so this Chicago thing, I think, is really going to explode probably seriously within the next 36 hours. The video just came out like seriously a half hour before we came on, and it's pretty bad.
Don't jaywalk, people. Don't jaywalk.
Don't jaywalk while black in Chicago in front of a bunch of white cops. That's just not the way to do it. And on top of everything else, don't have a 3-inch pocket knife. Please don't have a 3-inch pocket knife. Well, last night there was some sort of Black Lives Matter protest, and some people were there filming it. And apparently it was 3 white guys, and the stories vary greatly, but the videos have been on YouTube, and the videos don't show what the news reports are saying. Well, apparently these 3 guys were basically roughed up by the crowd. They were punched, kicked. They tried to steal their phones and stuff, and these guys took off running, and they were followed by a good amount of the mob. And one of the guys drew and fired 6-7 shots. It ranges from he opened an AK-47 to somebody thought they were throwing firecrackers. Is basically how the story came out in the media. Uh, there were 2 hit, and now this is being spun
So they've
as
got a better hit percentage than the New York City Police Department.
and honestly in Chicago Police Department too, right?
Right.
So they've got two people shot who've been accosting somebody and threatened them with their lives. Because honestly, if you're 3 people against a mob, yeah, you're getting beat up, yeah, you're in fear for your life. Um, they're calling this white supremacists shoot up Black Lives Rally March when that's not what it was.
Of course not,
Not
but
by any
that's what's going to get you the headlines, and that's what's going to get
right.
you the emotional readership.
Well,
So
I think this is really something for our audience to be aware of, and fortunately, I think our audience is amenable to our message. And my message is, aside from the 4 rules of gun safety, is get yourself a small concealable pistol of a serious caliber. If you can shoot that serious caliber and you can afford the small pistol, get one, because we're seeing the gun control talk again. I mean, Harry Reid and the Paris style assault guns, that's just fucking ludicrous with that.
and it's funny because this just goes to show you how deep the NRA's pockets are. During Harry Reid's last election, he was actually endorsed by the NRA.
Well, all right, you know what? I'd actually like to bring up something that's like never discussed in light of this gun control and a lot of the screaming and yelling that comes out of the gun control. Uh, you walk every place you can buy a firearm. There's pretty much an NRA sign up. You go to a gun show, you join the NRA, you get into the gun show for free. Uh, Once you join the NRA, it's nothing but money and letters and things that are addressed to you. And
And phone calls to your Skype number while you're in Korea at 2 in the morning.
right. Don't give them nothing that you don't want them to ever contact you on. But they keep a list, right? So we've got a nation of people who are rightly concerned about a gun registry and registration of firearms, because like many of them, I truly believe that registration does nothing but lead to confiscation. And the guns have to go to have whatever devious fucking plans that are out there for this place. Though the guns need to be out of the people's hands for that to occur.
Right.
And I think big deal if they don't ever get one, if they get it or they don't get it, because they've already got it now.
Well, here you go.
And
All that has to be done.
the
All that,
National Rifle Association is the gun registry, because
it is in a sense it is, and all that has to be done is at some point they have to be they have to get a sympathetic ear of a congressman or a senator who decides that they want to identify the NRA as a illegal lobbying organization and request its membership.
right, and if the NRA doesn't, then they send in a SWAT team. I mean, we've seen it happen. It happened to Aries Armor. Aries Armor was selling those 80% kits, and the ATF wanted to know who they were, and they said no, and they got SWAT teams.
Yep, they sure did.
So,
And,
so
and even though it was an illegal act by the ATF.
right. Take that shit to court. Deal with that in 3 months in front of a judge after you get an attorney and all that. We're taking this shit right now.
Yeah.
And
And who's going to stop them?
and then so that's the NRA, right? They got a master list of that. They probably got a master list all over the damn place. Probably in every NRA authorized computer, they probably got access to this master list of shit, just so they can figure out a way how to pimp more money out of people, right? So who's to say that that doesn't happen at the what happened to Aries Armor doesn't happen to the NRA? And honestly, what about if they just sell it to them?
Well, I don't remember the last time from when I had an NRA membership, but they may decide to use and exploit your information to a third party.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter when you had one, because if you had one, you've always got one. So if you've got one, you've got 10. Is kind of the way I see it. I don't think that when it comes down to them getting it, I think they'll get everything. And it's no secret. This has been foretold, through the fabulous movies that we've all seen. I mean, let's just look at the original the good Red Dawn movie. Colonel Bella, the Cuban Special Forces trooper that's, taking over Longmont, Colorado. What does he say to his little KGB underling? Go get Form 4473. It gives us the type of weapons and the owner.
Yep.
So I kind of think the NRA is, kind of a double-edged sword. They talk about it being, and it truly is kind of got a lot of grassroots support, but maybe that support is the list.
Well, I mean, here you go. You look at it this way. You got to have somebody that's willing to stand up and put their money where their mouth is. And, our style of government is pay to play. And, you're not going to get any kind of headway dealing with members of Congress unless you line their pockets. And that's what the NRA does. The NRA has a lot of money, and the NRA puts it where its mouth is, which is no different than any other lobbying organization in our government. So, do you want to take the chance of having an organization that knows, hey, you're a gun owner, you're a member of our society? Well, I think that really you can kind of look at it this way and say, you know what? Probably a good 70% of all military veterans actively own a firearm. So, if you really want to look at, hey, do we have a database? Oh, anybody that's ever been in the military.
Yeah, we have many databases. Anybody who might have been ever pulled over with a firearm. I'm sure that's all ever, that's been uploaded. All that court data and police data has been uploaded into a giant machine, probably.
Yeah, certainly. And, who's to say that whenever you purchase a firearm in your local state, if your state requires a background check in addition to the NCIC check, who's to say that a state trooper doesn't immediately have access to that information when they pull you over?
Well, here is something that they do have immediate access to that information. The concealed weapons permit. So there's another list right there.
There you go. And who's to say that information isn't transferred to the license plate readers, like what we saw happen in Maryland with a concealed carry holder from Florida?
I believe that's a definite possibility. I would say that's already there.
So
I mean, it's not like anybody's looking out for our rights. We have to look out for them. And I'm not necessarily saying don't join the NRA. I'm just saying that the list already exists, and they are the list.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before they have to cough it up, or who's to say that one of these data breaches, or they give it up all too.
And that's another argument that kind of came up in this discussion was they said, well, what if the NRA just encrypts it really good, and it kind of burnt me because there's a lack of logic in that, right? So, number one, the government can crack whoever's encryption that they want to crack. I mean, they probably have a hand in building it as we're looking at, all these wonderful DARPA innovations that come out and tech innovations that come out. The government's got a hand in it, which is really no surprise. But they want, this super spy level encryption, from the same people they're calling FUDs and making fun of because they like wood on their rifle. Oh, they're just a bunch of gray-haired old farts that only care about this, and that. But then they want, top secret, Q-level encryption and shit. That
doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, anybody that wants to have a wood stock on the rifle is a bitter clinger in my book.
That's right. But probably is some sort of extremist as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not down with polymer, you keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it's like a tactical sinner or something.
That's right.
Like, you haven't embraced the book of black nylon, and honestly, I like wood and metal. I prefer my handguns to be metal. I've had my polymer handguns, and they're nice. They have a place, and they even have a place here where I live because it's very high humidity, and they're quite resistant to to rust and corrosion. But they just don't have a place for me. They don't feel right for me. And honestly, I think two-tone guns are tacky.
Yeah.
I think anything got a black frame and a silver slide is just, who are you trying to be? Miami Vice, Impact.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, speaking of polymer, I do have an update. Received in the mail today a package from Brownells. So my Magpul Embus iron sights arrived today and were promptly installed on the 300 Blackout rifle. So all that rifle needs right now is a trip out to the range, some 147 grain full metal jacket rounds, and a target paper.
And some time.
That it does. Fortunately enough, a couple of my colleagues and I have located a no-fee range that is run by the National Park Service that we have in the George Washington National Forest. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's nice.
it's a big boy rules range, and they have 8 shooting lanes with covered benches and targets out to 200 meters. And I think one of these next couple days, hopefully before the rain kicks in, we're gonna get a chance to go out there and do some shooting.
That brings some interesting safety concerns into mind. You bring up the big boy rules, and let's kind of explain what that means. That means that there is no range master. Is
That's
that
exactly
correct?
it. That is exactly it. You are
So
shooting at your own discretion and peril.
right, and you have to use appropriate range etiquette, and this may be where you have to stack up and let the testicles drop. And if you see somebody doing something that endangers somebody, you may have to step in and say something.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yeah, you're going to definitely have to do what the president wants you to do, which is see something, say something.
Right, right. So that's kind of nice, but that's not necessarily something that you'd, unless you knew it very well, that you want to go out and do the first time by yourself, right? I think I'd like to take a couple people with me on that one.
Yeah, and here's the thing, most folks who are in the shooting sports are very safety conscious, and they're not the type of person who's going to go out there, pull out the gat, shoot it sideways, and reload a hot magazine. No, they're not going to do that. But
Say hello to my little friend.
exactly, and Michael, while we're on it, we probably need to hit the 4 rules of firearm safety.
All right, so while you're out there gap blatting away, rule number one is every high point is loaded. That's right. So every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically ensure that it is not loaded. Rule number two is, well, you've got to point it sideways. Make sure you don't point it in anything you don't want to destroy. Rule number three is know which Cadillac you are shooting at and what is behind that Cadillac. And
Oh,
rule number
shizzle.
four, oh, shizzle. And rule number four is please keep your booger hook off the bank switch until you are ready to discharge the firearm. Guns do not just go off. They have to have the trigger pulled, and you would be the fool who pulled the trigger at that situation.
That's right. The smeller's the feller.
That's right. All right, so Black Friday coming up.
That's
Lots of shopping
racist.
opportunities. It is. But it's I think it's a microaggression for you to tell me that it's racist.
Well, it is. I'm invading your safe space.
My safe space is being violated. Uh, Academy, which is like one of the big box stores and more focused on, seems to be becoming more focused on firearms and or promoting their firearms and their ammunition a little bit more than other stores. Looks to have some pretty good deals. I happened to get a sneak peek at their upcoming Black Friday circular, and they have the Heritage Rough Rider special for $99. And anybody doesn't know, the Heritage Rough Rider is a 22 long rifle single action pistol. It's got a Zamac frame or a zinc compound frame, and it's very much like an old single action Colt. I believe it has a safety on it, and $99. It is a steal for a brand new firearm.
Yep. Well, and not only that, you do have your big box stores, but if you go out in the next couple of weeks on Saturdays, it's called Small Business Saturday. So if you got maybe a hardware store in your town or a mom and pop gun shop, feel free to give them some business. It's a good way to keep your dollars in your local community. And you know what? Maybe now is a chance. We're getting ready to head into winter. Um, you know, Depending upon where you're at, you may have an opportunity on Thanksgiving Day to go out and take a wild turkey. We have that opportunity in my state. So, you know what? Get out there and do some shooting, whether it be shotgun or whether it be pistol or rifle. Heck, even if you got a muzzle loader, go ahead and take you a deer.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Get some of that free meat.
That's right.
I'd like to just promote the special of the week, and I think this is an exceptionally good special. Palmetto State Armory has the Smith & Wesson SW9. SD9 VE 9mm pistol for $259. This is a polymer frame. It's basically, they call it the poor man's Glock, and it's so much like a Glock that they have to pay, Smith & Wesson pays Glock $17 for every one that they sell because of the patent infringement. So, yeah, it's really, it's a quite reliable, if not necessarily aesthetically pleasing to me, pistol. A lot of people have no problem with it. Easily upgraded, lots of aftermarket parts out there for somebody who may wish to play with it. And it's $99. It comes with two 17-round magazines and $259. That's a pretty good deal for something that is, I dare say it's lifetime quality, almost kind of like a Glock is.
Yeah, times are tough. The winter rioting season is upon us. If you're in
That's right.
Ferguson or
get your right gear now before the prices spike.
Exactly. So you don't want to be going into Walmart on Black Friday and fighting the crowds when you're trying to get your black rifle sales on. If the Walmart in your town still actually sells black rifles.
Walmart in my town, in my area, because I do not have a Walmart in my town. Walmarts in my area do no longer sell the black rifle.
Yeah. And think about it. That's just another sign that Walmart is not for you. They are for those special interests who don't want you to buy them there.
Right. Nick, it's been a fast hour, man. I'll tell you, I can't thank Jules enough. UCY gives us the opportunity to talk about stuff that really matters to us. Tonight, I think we've covered some pretty interesting topics tonight. And topics that won't get really addressed anywhere else. And I'd like to thank her for the opportunity to do that. She puts in a hell of a lot of work, and I know she's been dumped on recently and had more work thrown at her. But I just want to say thanks for.
Oh, definitely. And that's one of the things I like is getting a chance to get in here, get some good conversation with you, reading what our listeners are talking about and on chat. We love bringing in the stories that we think are relevant to our platform and what we want to talk about and getting some of those feedback from you guys. So really appreciate our listeners. And like I said, congrats to Captain Gringo and Junior getting your deer. And, hopefully you guys pick up a couple more this year.
Nick, it's been wonderful. Anything you looking to get for Black Friday for you?
I'm actually probably going to be looking at getting some of those 5.56 ammo deals that are coming up. I saw 500 rounds for $129. So I was thinking about probably picking up one of those. And I can't remember if it was Palmetto State or if it was Brownells, but it was one of the two.
I saw the Remington has the Bucket of Freedom, which is 300 rounds, 223, 55 grain, 223 for $129 right now, and I believe that at Academy it will be nice.
Awesome. Well, Michael, thank you very much. Good to hear you again.
Nick, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. Everybody, thank you very much for listening. Watch, stick around. We got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
What patriots do. Fight,